This is the Sharing Without Shame podcast, where we go beyond addiction to uncover the deeper roots of trauma and shame. Hurt people. They hide behind masks. And here, we're done hiding. We're sharing our stories without shame.
Hello, and welcome to the Sharing Without Shame podcast. I'm your host, Donna Marston. I'm an author, certified recovery support worker, family recovery facilitator, and most importantly, a mom who's walked the painful path of loving a child in active addiction. This podcast is for parents, partners, or anyone trying to navigate the chaos, confusion, and heartbreak that addiction or life's other challenges can bring into the family. Healing isn't just for one person. It spreads through the family, restoring connection, presence, and hope. And you are not alone. You don't have to keep surviving, and you can start living your life again. If you're ready to take the next step, grab my free guide, 5 Boundaries and Breakthroughs, in the show notes. And when the time feels right, reach out, and I'd be honored to walk this journey with you. Today, I would like to welcome my friend, Kerry Norton, one of the passionate founders and the executive director of Hope on Haven Hill, a recovery residence program dedicated to helping pregnant and parenting women heal from addiction. Kerry is a fierce advocate, a visionary leader, and a compassionate voice in the fight for recovery, housing, and dignity for women and their children. Welcome, Kerry.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome. So, first question I like to ask is, what would you like to share without shame?
Sure. So share without shame. I guess I would say, my share without shame has always sort of been, for myself, it's always been to really believe that, I might have done tons of different things wrong, and I did. And I did the best I could, and that it was a journey for me to get where I exactly needed to be able to heal and recover myself, even just through this whole journey. So it was really, I'm a person that I'm a little type A, I'm a nurse, tasks, check boxes, all those types of things. So, substance use disorder is so not a straight line, and it's not, I had to pivot. And, sharing without shame for me was being open to that I was going to do things wrong, and I was going to be able to, change, pivot. And I still do, like, to this day, even like it's been my sharing without shame is that I just really want to embrace that, like, I am an imperfect human being doing the best I can, and I'm going to do it with a really open heart. And if I have a lesson learned, that's actually really good for me.
Yeah, and I think, take it a step further. I know for me, I'm an imperfect mom, right?
Yeah.
And I
It's
was
it's
trying to,
hard. It is really hard. Like, it's so hard, it's really hard. Like,
yeah.
it never stops. You never stop being a mom. So no matter how
Mm-mm.
old your kids are.
No, and it's hard too, because my kids now are in their 40s, and navigating that, because
Mhm.
definitely don't want them being parented. They don't want that, and I get it, because I don't like when my 96-year-old mother tries to parent me because I'm
Right.
71, right? It's like, I'm a senior
Right.
citizen. I don't need that. But
Sure.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I think, we've been on the same journey.
Yeah.
We both have a child that had their time with substances, and
Yeah.
by the grace of God, they're in recovery.
Yeah.
And can you talk a little bit about that challenge of what it felt like, that punch in the stomach when
Yeah.
you found out? And
Yeah.
I don't know if you're like me, but I think you were probably even faster than me. Put our roller skates on,
100%. Yeah.
and
Like,
now we're going to fix it. And
yeah.
being a nurse on top of it.
100%. Yeah. I knew things were going on. I have a family, I have a strong family history of alcoholism and addiction. And, I thought I was on the ball, like, I talked about it a lot. Like, it
Yeah.
was not a hidden conversation, like, like
Mhm.
genetics and this family member, and like, this is a strong problem. My dad, died of alcoholism. And so, it was it was a topic discussed and talked about. This was not
Sure.
taboo, like, and I was in the nursing field, and it was my middle son, it was really challenging. Teenage years were really hard,
Mhm.
and it became really evident that something was going on. And I definitely thought he had a drinking problem, and he did. But and I 100% thought that he had, other problems. Like I was sure he was using cocaine, and I was very concerned about it. But I was the most night, and he was at the time he was living with me. I know all the signs on all the different things. And I had to end up confronting him when I accidentally opened a piece of mail that, I could see him struggling. He was working full time, making really good money, and he had no money. And I opened up a piece of mail, and he was like very like behind on a car payment. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, this doesn't make any sense. And I
Right.
confronted him, and, he broke down, and he was like, I have a serious problem.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, here we go. I knew it. But like, but then he said, I am addicted to heroin. And I don't know why. I 100% was in disbelief and did not, I missed everything, right? Like did not believe it. I was in shock. And, he's like, I've been trying to get help. I've been calling actually like different places. I also didn't believe it. Like I was like, because he was like, I can't get any help. And I was like, this sounds crazy. And the problem was I lived in a world with, serious alcoholism and other addictions and things like that, where I saw how affected it was. But I did not know anybody at this time in my life that was addicted to heroin. All I
Hmm.
knew were stories, and I didn't even in my head when he said that, and he was like, no, it's true. And there was a part of me that I was like, I don't know anybody that's ever recovered from that. Like, I don't know.
Mm.
Like, I didn't know. And I was so petrified. I was like, oh my gosh, like, and he's like, I've been trying to get help. I don't know what to do. And I was like, well, we'll get you right into help, like thinking that that was going to be easy breezy too.
Yeah.
But I threw myself right into it, big time right into it, and found people that actually had recovered. And I was like, okay, people have recovered. This is a possibility. I threw myself into educating myself, and I spent a ton of time trying to get him into help. So like initially, like he was like, I need to keep my job. He had my young grandson. But he was living with me with him, and he was a very young baby at the time, and I was helping him with him. And so he's like outpatient, so I can work. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like
Mm.
so he went through like an outpatient program, and I thought, oh, thank God, when he was like, I'm almost done it. And I was like, oh, thank God. And it wasn't what he needed. And it also didn't, he was just checking boxes and not doing
Sounds familiar.
well. And yeah. But like I was naive enough to have like, I still didn't quite understand all of the things.
Mm.
Things got progressively worse. Like, because I don't know if it's just because I took a crash course on all things, but like then I was like, oh yeah, this and this and this, and all of the behaviors like made a lot more sense. And so he got progressively much worse, and we needed. Our family had to come together to be like, you have to go to treatment. And he was like, it was almost impossible to get into an outpatient program. And again, I like still didn't believe it. I was like, but we got you into an outpatient program, and it took like 9 days, like hours, like 9 days on the phone to get nowhere to get him in anywhere. Like I could not get him in anywhere. And he was getting worse and worse. And it was January, and he was getting his tax refund.
Oh
And
boy.
I knew that if he got that tax refund, like it was going to be bad. Like I was like,
Yeah.
if he gets this tax refund and he is not okay, like he's gonna kill himself with it. Like I knew
Yeah.
that. So like I was trying so hard to get him in somewhere before he was gonna get this tax refund, like yeah, I was just obsessing. Our family was falling apart for sure. My younger son was in high school, was like doing his own fast food, filling out college applications, like zero attention from me,
I
the
get
whole
it.
nine yards.
Yes,
And
I get it.
and I just, I just wanted to fix it and would like get this yeah, I needed this to be passed. Like it got worse and worse where I had to be like, if we can't get him in somewhere, like he can't be here with our like with his son. Like this is becoming unsafe. We have to draw a line in the sand and say like you have to go to treatment. And so because he was really bucking, I'm going to do outpatient again, and I was like, I don't think that that's what you need. Like at this point, you weren't thriving then when you were there. You didn't get better. You were still using. Like now I know what I know. An hour in the day, he's like, you're right. That's what I need. And then the rest of the day, it was all just crazy, crazy world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
All the reasons why they can't go.
and it was just, our family just couldn't for a little bit like get ourselves all on the same page. Like it took an awful lot for me to be like, listen, we have to all be on the same page. We have to all say the same thing. We have to all be consistent. It's super easy because like all of the emotions are running high and like it just you just all go crazy and we all just were everybody was going crazy at different times and like, but I was just like, we've got to get him help before he gets this tax refund. He's gonna get this money and he's gonna kill himself with it. And so I got everybody convinced that like he needs to go to treatment. And so he was like, so when everybody said, nope, you have to go to treatment or you can't be here, you can't do this, then he was like, okay, I'll go. But like he says it now after, he's like, yeah, because I knew it wasn't gonna be, there's no way I was getting in anywhere, he knew.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
like, but again, like I was naive enough to think like, oh, perfect. He says he'll go. And then it was like, oh no, there's nowhere to go. And like the quick story is like he did get his tax refund. He did run off because we were like, you can't be here. Like and he almost died multiple times and it was terrible. And and our family being like and it was all, I get it. Like, it was, his significant other, like, couldn't say no, like, no, you can't come back. You can't stay here. Nobody could all stay consistent to say, you've got to do this. And so then when everybody did, after he had a really significant, almost died overdose, everybody was like, we're not going to participate in this. He's like, okay. And, I ended up having to take, a leave from work so that I could stay home with him for weeks to try to get him in anywhere and just to sort of like house him, like I was like,
Yeah.
okay, this is the deal. You stay here. We watched really, I'm not even gonna say what shows, crazy shows. We just like laid on the couch and it was miserable. And, I sold my Disney vacation timeshare and cashed in some 401k and all these different things. And I don't recommend that because he literally went away, didn't stay more than 18 hours and, like the whole nine yards.
Yeah.
And so then finally, after that, happened, he initiated what he needed. And he actually used medication assisted treatment and an outpatient, but it was because at that time, like he'd had enough, like, and he
Yeah.
greatly missed his entire family and his son, and he really was opposed to medication assisted treatment, and at the time, I didn't know either way. I didn't care at the time, but like he was very opposed to it. He didn't, and I watched it like really work for him. And then I watched even as like him suffer because he didn't want to stay on it long enough. And I was so terrified and scared. He was lucky, and it was only luck that like he was super connected, like in a 12-step community, but he went off
Mhm.
the medication sooner because he was, and I was terrified.
Sure.
But he, it was just, it was just enough that, he was able to maintain, his recovery and, and the rest of the family, like I had to have significant, like therapy, and I went to family support groups in Al-Anon and things like that. And a lot of our family did as well, because I mean, when I think about it now, even like Hope on Haven Hill, literally, like people are like, how did you do it? And I think it was literally the chaos, and it was like a coping mechanism that almost probably even like a poor coping mechanism, because I just threw everything in to that instead. Like I was like, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do this.
So you started that when he was newly sober.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow, because I remember
yeah,
we were on a lot of the
yeah,
same committees back then,
yeah,
and
yeah,
my son had been sober for
yeah,
probably 5 years, I think,
yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
more, because he's 17 and a half years now. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And my son, it's like I have two of my sons. Both of my sons are now in recovery. They're like 9 and 11 years now.
so
So it's
about the
really,
same time.
yeah, yeah,
All of that goes into Hope on Haven Hill.
yeah,
And
yeah,
now you have all these women
yeah.
coming
Well,
to
it
you.
was helpful too, because a lot of therapy helped, a lot of family support groups helped me,
Yeah,
but the work also, like it's so evident, like this is not just the person, like so like it's so evident, like boundaries and self-care and all of the things are just so important. And so it's been helpful, to be honest with you, like being around really brilliant, smart clinicians and really strong, brave women that we're, able to be able to care for all of the time. So yeah.
having sons with a substance use disorder, how did you then decide
So
your,
I was always a maternal child nurse. So
oh,
I
okay.
always did labor and delivery, maternal child nursing, prenatal nursing, labor and delivery. And when this was all happening, so it was hard to actually get adequate care for my son. That made me really mad.
Yep.
Healthcare is a problem, always has been. I've always
Yeah.
had beef with our healthcare system because, it's not set up for success for most people. Um, and so it was pretty shocking how bad it was, to get him the help he needed, especially because, like, at the time I was still his insurance carrier and I was paying a lot of money to not get help for him, with coverage that he should have. I was pretty
I
mad.
get
I was
it.
pretty mad about it.
Yeah.
He was afforded a family, like an entire family that had that and had resources and had the capability to be like, we're going to, take time out of our lives to go to therapy and to do this and that. And at the same time, I was taking care of women who were so disadvantaged without, like without a home, without support systems, and also unable to do this. And so like it was really hard for my sons, terribly hard. It was really hard for our families, but the women that I were seeing that we now like that we are honored to be able to care for at Hope and Haven Hill, they didn't have that. They didn't have somebody saying, you deserve to be able to, be treated for this and you can be okay and you can be
Mhm.
well. Like
Mhm.
they did not have that and they were just suffering and dying. And that just was it just was unacceptable to me
Yeah.
that there were so many, because like I was like, what are these women doing? And that's what it was. Like if the women that don't have support systems and families and all of the other systems that we had available to us, that's why it's that's why Hope on Haven Hill was made. I always took care of women and babies, and I was like, oh no, these, just like my own son, like my son was afforded, the ability to be able to get well, and he got well and
Mhm.
is thriving and is an amazing father now to three of, for my three grandchildren that he has. But like, I was watching women suffer and lose their children or their lives. And it just seemed, and and again, like when he said I can't get into help, I didn't believe him. And like, I was just putting women on wait list for the one place at the time in the state. And I don't think the impact I think the universe knew I needed to have a personal realization, like, because like even though I'm putting people on a wait list and I probably knew that they were not getting in, like I realize now, like when this was happening, these women are not getting in, they're not getting what they need, and they're not being cared for, and that's just awful.
And they often don't have the support of the
They
family.
don't.
You know,
They almost always don't.
right. So I did parenting ed for a large nonprofit in New Hampshire, and also used to go into a treatment facility for women. And many of them, it was sex trafficking and they got
Uh-huh.
pregnant, or
Yeah.
there was just a lot. And I would watch them, and or they would tell me their stories and I would cry.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
it was
I mean,
so
almost
horrific.
almost all of our women have like it's trauma. Like it is trauma, and it's pretty extreme trauma that's happening. Like it's rare that a woman doesn't come in with some pretty significant trauma in big ways. And that's
So when you started, if I remember correctly, it was Hope on Haven Hill in Rochester, New Hampshire,
yeah, yeah,
big house, and
yeah.
and now
I'm here
you've
now. I'm actually at that original one right now.
and then you expanded to
Yeah,
a woman's recovery home,
yeah,
and I mean it's all been successful, and then
yeah.
you've taken that and now you've built another whole piece
Yeah,
of it.
yeah, yeah. We
So
opened with our original program, which is a residential program. So it's like what typically people think of as rehab, but it's very specific for women who are pregnant or parenting. So a barrier for a lot of women would be if they're pregnant, like I mean, like I thought it was hard to get my male, son into treatment, like try to get a pregnant woman into treatment. It's like no, the stakes are high and the liabilities are big, and in treatment centers do not care for pregnant women like that. They
or
do
one
not
that
let you
has,
keep your babies with you. And
I
I
was
was
just
like,
gonna say, yeah, or bring your baby with you.
right.
So I mean, who
Yeah.
else does what you're doing?
There's one other, so Cynthia Day, in Nashua.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
So we have our original program, our residential program, which is like, for pregnant women and parenting women with babies and children 5 and under. And we opened Abby's Place as recovery housing. And then we did open our new center for Hope and Wellness, which is a multi-purpose. It's administration, but it's also outpatient programming. So we have a partial hospitalization program, we have outpatient IOP programming, we have MAT services, we have a midwife, a family nurse practitioner, a psychiatric nurse practitioner, we have a child care center, we have early Head Start embedded in all of our programs, but that works 32 hours a week in our center. We have a gym, we have a free thrift store for our clients, and we have independent affordable housing, Camilla's Place, which opened as well when we opened our new center. And then we just did purchase another duplex property for some more recovery housing
Wow. Do you
that
pinch
we're in the
yourself?
process of renovating.
Look what you've done.
We don't have to expand the residential treatment program, that our original program, but pretty quickly after we opened, we realized that like what almost everybody needed was safe recovery housing and safe, independent, affordable housing. And
Yeah,
it's not like that take women with their babies and children.
yeah,
So I was
yeah.
like, well, that's what we got to do too. Like because we were watching women get better. Like again, like they were afforded this treatment and given the treatment, and they were getting better, but they were still either homeless or imminently homeless and not in safe places. And so, like that's the big area.
Hmm. And so many success stories.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember before we opened, I just wanted to, it felt like forever. Like, and everyone's like, it happened so fast. And that's the part of like, I think I was still like in all of that chaos that I was like, it didn't seem fast to me because like, I had all of these women on my mind that I was seeing that needed it. And but when we opened, right before we opened, I was like, oh my God, I just need to help somebody. And before we had opened, we had gone to New Jersey to tour a program like this. And they had been open for 12 years and they had helped 1,000 women. And I was like,
Wow.
oh my God. I was like, that is incredible. That is so amazing. And I remember just like crying on our way home, thinking, like, I was like, I just want to help one person. And last September, so a year ago now, actually, like we had helped 1,000 women. And I was like, oh my God, like,
Wow.
like it feels like it was yesterday and a million years ago, but like I was like, oh my God. Yeah.
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 Wow. Kudos to you.
Yeah.
So if anybody's interested in getting to meet you or
Yeah.
coming to one of your homes,
Yeah.
going into the
Yeah. Into any of our programs.
any of
Yeah.
your programs, how would they get in touch with you?
Yeah. So we have a website and we have phone numbers, obviously. But so our website is www.hopeonhavenhill.org and our phone number is 603-841-5353.
Nice. Now, I remember when the thrift store and the daycare and all of that was a dream. I remember the building that was
Yeah.
vacant.
Yeah.
Was it a church or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have to come down and see everything.
Yeah. But, so you were talking about at the time your dream was to have the women from Abby's house to manage it or be the employees. Has
Yeah.
is that what happens with the
So
thrift store and
we've had for Abby's place, we've done lots of different models. We haven't had that in particular happen, but at the center, like they do a lot of different opportunities and life skill groups and we do employment assistance like to get them into good jobs and like I have on our board now, our board of directors, I have one of our previous graduates from almost the beginning. And she's an
wow,
executive director of a women's shelter now,
wow,
and like incredibly thriving. And so like it really it's pretty amazing.
yeah. They're miracles, right? In my opinion, they're miracles. Our
Yeah.
children are miracles
Yeah.
because they manage to move forward in life and be productive, functioning adults and
Yeah.
live healthy, happy lives,
Yeah.
and which is so important for people whose teen or adult child is sick and suffering. That it always hold on to your hope because you never
Right.
know when the miracle of recovery is going to happen.
It's true. It's
You know,
true.
and there's times, yeah, I'm sure you felt like it, like I felt like it, just giving up, like just
Yeah.
like take me, I can't do this anymore.
For
And
sure. For sure.
and then there was days like I was just so hopeful.
Yeah. Do you have grandchildren?
I do now with my son who's in recovery, has three
Yeah.
little boys,
Yeah.
two, 5 and 7.
Yeah, yeah. I have six grandkids now, and
Oh my
three of them
goodness.
are yeah, three of them were with one of my sons, and one of them is with my other son, and two with my daughter. And but like we call them the three bigs and the three littles, because like the three littles they're 7 years old, all three of them. Like my son and my two sons and daughter all have kids at the same age,
Yeah,
7 year olds. But the three bigs are 13, 11, and 10. And I'm watching and I'm just I watch myself become anxious for them even
yeah,
at this point and I'm
yeah.
like, oh wait. But I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, and it's just like, oh,
Could you go? I know, because I think, could I go through this again?
yeah.
And if it happens, please don't tell me.
Yeah.
I don't know that I could take it again because
I
it's so
know.
heartbreaking.
I know. I know.
And I just pray to God because they say, it skips generations.
Yeah.
And so can you skip
Uh,
those three, but
yeah. Yeah.
life takes us on many, many different journeys. And so any words of wisdom, either to the parents out there or
Yeah.
to a mom who, is in active addiction,
Yeah.
what would
Well,
you
I would say for
say
a
to them?
mom in active addiction, I do recommend like reaching out to any, like to Hope on Haven Hill or any, doorway, because, I do know that so many, so many women have said to me that they felt like they were the worst of the worst, even with people that they were actively in addiction with, that they were looked at as the worst. And so like I just say like you there are places that want to help, that are safe, and will cheer you on while you're able to take care of your baby and children, and we're here for you. And then for, parents, mothers, and I would just say get connected with any support systems that you can. It is grueling. It is so hard, and do not do it alone. People feel embarrassed and ashamed, but like it's not going to help. Like get connected. There are people that are going to embrace and help and have been there, not to lose hope. I do believe, recovery is possible. It's amazing. And even when it feels like it's, if you don't believe it, get connected so that someone can like tell you, borrow my belief for right now, even if you have to, because it's so hard. It can be so hard. Don't do it alone.
Mm-mm. And we're sick as our secret.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
kept mine for a long time. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you, I was an emotional
Yeah.
mess. And
Yeah.
there is really broken heart syndrome is a real thing,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
and so you have two moms right here you can
Yeah.
contact.
Yeah.
And
It's
we'll
true.
help you. We'll love
It's
you
so
through it.
true. It's so true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Oh, you know what I
Yeah.
wanted to mention too before we go, because I think this is so cool. When the women graduate from inpatient program,
Yeah.
they actually wear a cap and gown.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
I'm
Yep.
sure
We
many,
celebrate. Yeah.
yeah,
They
that's
get to
cool.
pick. We make them a special cake, and they get to pick what kind of cake it is, but we make it for them. We make a big deal out of it. Like, and for some people, that's the first celebration they've ever had. So
Yeah.
we try to do celebrations like a lot. Like we try to celebrate all of the wins, because a lot of times they haven't had that experience.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Kerry. It's
Thank
been great.
you. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining Donna for today's conversation. Remember, trauma may wear many faces, but healing is about uncovering the truth beneath the pain and learning to live without shame. If today's episode resonated with you, please subscribe, share, and leave a review. It helps this message reach more hearts that need it. If you have a story of navigating trauma, shame, or addiction and how you found your freedom, Donna would love to hear from you. This podcast is built on real stories, and yours could inspire someone else's healing. Visit sharingwithoutshame.com to connect with Donna, apply to be a guest, or learn how to bring her books, coaching, and speaking engagements to your community or organization. Until next time, remember, healing begins the moment you choose to stop hiding and start sharing without shame.